Hey there, nerds. Jimmy Palmquist here, and I wanted to talk a little bit about a show that I caught on HBO Go called John from Cincinnati. It's 10 episodes. It was only one season. And to be honest, I wasn't really paying attention at first. I was like, okay, cool. I'm from Ohio. Let's check out something from Ohio. Side note, we like to make fun of Cincinnati not being from Ohio. We say it's from Kentucky, but it is actually in Ohio. So I started watching it, like, cool. And man, it really starts off interesting. I didn't realize at first that this was going to be in Imperial Beach, San Diego, which again I've got a connection to. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I know a lot of these places. It's about surfing, which I find fascinating. Like, cool. All right. What an interesting tale. And then to find out right from the beginning, we've got Luke Perry, which is interesting. I'm not a huge fan of Luke Perry. I did not watch 90210 back in the day, but I know who he is, and it's like, cool, let's see what he can do. Also had, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the original commander of Star Trek in the reboot, oh man, I can't even remember his character's name, Bruce Greenwood. He was actually the first person we see, but right in the pilot episode, we see him like start to levitate. We're like, oh, what's that about? What is this show we are about to watch? It's, to me, it started strong. The last episode sort of didn't fulfill wants and needs, but it was about that time, or not by that time, but early on I realized, okay, this is not ever going to see a season 2 because it was made in 2007. Obviously that decision was made long ago. But I feel like as they were writing it, they thought there was going to be a season 2, or at least were open to those ideas. So with the final episode of the first season, we have loose ends that I think we're going to go to the next season, and that obviously never happened. Which has happened to me before. It got more than one season, but Dirty Sexy Money was a great show and kind of fell off in the second season. I believe that was right around the writer's strike, and then all of a sudden ended and we didn't get answers. But anyway, John from Cincinnati, Rebecca De Mornay, just great in there. She's played the mother of a surfer before in Lords of Dogtown. So I think she's familiar with that atmosphere. This one, she plays it way different in that she's very protective of her grandson because her son really screwed things up. Like, he got sponsored by Luke Perry's company and went out to do the surfing thing and just got really into drugs, bottomed out, and that's how we see him, and just not in a good way. So she's really protective of now her grandson, who is Mitchie, her son's son, and it's an interesting dynamic to see her and Bruce Greenwood, who's the grandpa, which is weird to see him as grandpa, but to see him, because he is also a surfer, work with their grandson and how they don't want him to get into this sport as far as sponsorship. Bruce Greenwood's character is really a sort of a hippie, so to speak, and near the end it was great. He goes somewhere in Mexico and meets up with the chemist, but the chemist doesn't do that anymore as far as drugs. And it took me a while, but I'm like, oh my god, that's the dude from WKRP in Cincinnati. Oh, that's hilarious. I think it was Johnny from WKRP in Cincinnati. I'm like, dude, I haven't seen that guy in a long time. But these events all circle around this character that shows up named John. And John is like a blank slate, and they don't understand where he's from, what he's doing. He has some money, and that's about it. So as they start talking, he repeats what they're saying, and then he starts learning how to communicate, almost like Terminator, and then he's just learning things. And they don't understand, but every once in a while he'll say something that's prophetic, and they're like, whoa, what's that? And a lot of weird things happen all around. Namely, Ed O'Neill is in it, which was surprising, but he has a collection of birds. One of his birds dies, but then the bird comes back to life. As well as the son, I think it's Sean Yost is the last name. Sean Yost goes to compete sort of on the sly in his first surfing competition and breaks his neck and essentially brain dead. They have to decide whether to take him off life support. He miraculously comes back and all these weird things happen, and that's what pulled me in and got me intrigued. But then it just kind of falls off. We also have Luis Guzman in there that has to do with, again, another storyline, which is really cool, of a motel that he's working at that is condemned, but he's sort of not upkeeping it, just, I guess, there as a groundskeeper or something, manager of the facility. And the lawyer, Willie Garrison, is really big fan of Mitchie and trying to help him and take care of him as he's just bottomed out into drugs and stuff like that. He is a tenant at the hotel, even though the hotel's closed. New guy comes in and buys it up, and it's just weird circumstances that kind of all come together. Not with a perfect answer, like I said, but it's just an interesting story. I really wish there was a second season. I wish they kept on with this idea because I think it's really cool. But I think the relationships we see develop are interesting. So if you've got nothing to do, check it out. 10 episodes, about 42 minutes, an hour, as far as your normal TV viewing would go. Check it out. I think it's worthwhile. John from Cincinnati. I give it about 3 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.